behind schedule, but that's because we've just been having so much fun. We're going to go through the papers now, joined by the former Conservative advisor, Claire Pearsall, and the actor, Christopher Biggins. More fun, I'm expecting, during the papers.
We've got so much fun this
We
time.
do. And let's start, shall we, Biggins, with the Telegraph front page. MP's concern at Getty link to Just Stop Oil. Funny, they've picked up on this. This is something I put to Just Stop Oil on Monday, and they tried to distance themselves from, obviously, a huge name in the oil world.
Absolutely. Paul Getty's granddaughter, who's 65 years old, is supporting Just Stop Oil.
Funding it, no less.
Funding it. I mean, millions and millions of pounds, dollars, I should say. No, more, 4 million to grants to organisation Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion. We were just talking about beforehand, Claire and I, in the green room. You know, I mean, it's what they do is unforgivable. I mean, yes, have your say, but you know the things that happen when some people stop traffic, ambulances, everything, the police, and nobody can get through. And nobody seems to think that people could be dying.
Well, I suppose their argument very much is this is a climate emergency. We're talking about, in their words, you know, much graver scale of loss, human life, than one ambulance. Obviously, optically, it is absolutely disastrous for their cause.
Yeah, but I mean, they should be doing something else, surely. You know, to make attention. I mean, you know, I fully understand why they're doing it, but I just think they do it in the wrong way. You know,
How should they do it?
Well, I think they should, you know, do it along the lines of going along to perhaps, you know, a square or somewhere near
The banners and a megaphone.
Yes, exactly.
They are doing that every day outside Downing Street, but as we have seen this week, perhaps going through the traditional channels of politics to change policy, not that easy.
It isn't that easy. But I do think that Christopher's right. We're looking at people who are disrupting members of the public who don't have a say on these kind of matters.
Yeah.
And I have been affected recently. I mean, you know, I don't need to be people's sort of pity, but the Dartford Bridge, which then just stuffed up the entire network across Dartford, down the M20, down the A2, and stopped so many people from either getting to hospital appointments, getting children to school, and just getting on with their lives and getting their businesses running, because that bridge does not need any help to have a traffic jam. And all they did was 24 hours of protest, which brought a network to a standstill, and the police just went, well, we can't really do anything about them, and then had to bring in some hydraulic cranes to get them off.
Do you believe the police when they say that? Because some people say they do have the powers, it's just the way they enforce those powers.
Yes.
You don't need more legislation.
You don't need any more legislation. We have the legislation. It is right there. You just need to move them. If they're making a nuisance of themselves, there is laws to deal with this. The police need to stop bringing them cups of tea and asking them if they're okay, and actually just move them off the road.
Yeah.
Don't block it. Go and protest somewhere where you're not going to stop ordinary people from getting on with their lives.
I mean, the other day at the art gallery, when they threw the tomato soup over that was disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Has that been properly explained how that...
No, well, because they use tomato soup, or that's the art.
I mean, all of it.
Yes, well, I mean, I don't think nobody understands. I think they just find, like for us the other day on the bridge when they climbed up on the bridge. It was Severn Bridge, wasn't it?
No, this is Dartford Bridge.
Dartford.
That's Dartford.
Oh, I didn't realise that. Well, that was terrible, you know. And also dangerous for them.
Yeah, well, you got the sense that the police were at the bottom going, I don't fancy going up there, do you?
It's a long way up. I mean, that is a really high bridge, and then you add on the suspension panels
and the
on
wind
top of
and
it.
everything up there.
It's not
funny,
great.
Really. Yeah.
Moving on, Claire, front page of the Times. NHS must break cycle of maternity scandals.
Yes, because in amongst all of the chaos of yesterday, the report came out into the maternity deaths at the East Kent Hospitals Trust. And this is appalling. I mean, 97 babies and mothers died or were severely harmed during this time, which was between 2009 and 2020. Such abject failings in that trust to take parents seriously when they knew there was a problem, to look after babies correctly. And it's just one of these things that we see time and time again. There was this sort of cycle of maternity deaths, unnecessary maternity deaths, and the Department of Health isn't really going to do anything about it, I think, was the sort of upshot.
Well, I mean, they are, it was an unfortunate turn of phrase, but they are hemorrhaging midwives. They are losing midwives at such a rate at the moment. We spoke to a retired midwife yesterday who said that it just didn't work with a healthy lifestyle. We've heard from other midwives who said that, you know, they didn't see their children in between working these extended shifts, not wanting to leave women at their most vulnerable moment when they're giving birth, but also knowing I have a family of my own that I need to go and see, and they are just not able to retain midwives at the moment.
No, they're not, but there are other sort of things they can do to mitigate these effects. There were quite a lot of women who wanted to be able to have their baby at home, were quite capable of doing so. They'd had a baby previously, and they were at lower risk, and they're not allowed to do that. So I think maternity care as a whole needs to be looked at a lot better, but women also need to be taken seriously if they think there's a problem. And I know from my own experience that you're treated as if you're a little bit of a pest. If you say, I don't understand this feels wrong, I'm really worried. Most of the time it's absolutely fine. But just give them that. But yeah, I do agree with you that midwives have worked extremely hard and have been not looked after correctly. We need to address that. There are an awful lot of failings. It's very disappointing that the Health Secretary didn't comment on this report yesterday.
Yeah, I think actually she did. I think I saw a tweet.
The Chancellor did. I saw Jeremy Hunt.
The Chancellor did.
Yeah, and then this morning, Theresa Coffey has said, my sympathies are with the families affected by the failings in maternity care at East Kent Hospital. These shocking events should not have happened. As Minister Caroline Johnson sets out, we will carefully consider Dr Kirkup's report.
And that was just an hour ago.
That was an hour ago.
Yeah.
The whole of the NHS needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's
the elephant in the room, isn't it?
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
And you know, I had two wonderful operations last year, which were very successful on the NHS. But I was lucky. But you know, it is a question of luck. You know, and you know, people are suffering very, very badly.
Waits for ambulances, waits for operations, waits to see doctors. Terrible.
Yeah, Christopher, you wanted to... Do you prefer to be called Christopher or Biggins?
I don't mind, whatever you like.
Biggins always makes me think about... Calling people by their surname always makes me think of school.
Yeah, I know, it does, doesn't it? It's a perfect name for me, though, because, you know, being big is...
No!
No, I wanted to talk about this because it's the World Cup links. Yes, I mean, I'm totally against this World Cup. I mean, I think it's appalling what is happening. But the China Railway Construction Company have built this stadium in Doha, and they also built a prison in China. Now, that's not really an interesting story, I don't think, because I don't care. But the story I have is at dinner last night, someone told me that the most extraordinary thing, that this stadium can lift up the whole of the field, the grass, can lift up and slide out into the open, and they can change the grass and put it back in again.
Yeah.
Now, you knew this, did you?
Yeah, no, but they do that even for cricket squares as well. I know the MCG, I think in Australia they do that. They lift out grass and put it back and slide
News
it out.
to me, Biggins. It's news to me.
But I was fascinated by this. Unbelievable.
It is amazing, isn't it?
I mean, what must that have cost?
Yeah.
And you know, and there we are. I mean, they're talking about, also last night we were talking about the fact that fans have to queue for hours and hours in 45 degrees. People will die queuing up for tickets. And I don't know, that some of the supporters, which I'm not going to name because I like him, but one of the supporters particularly is getting a huge amount of money for supporting this. You know, and I think it's wrong. Do people know what goes on in these countries?
Yeah. Well, David Mellor, who reviews our papers on a Wednesday, former cabinet member, under Maggie Thatcher, no less, huge ardent football fan, says he won't watch a single game.
No.
Because of the human rights record.
Well,
he really will not watch any.
No, I believe David.
I believe him.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah. I mean, I think it's people have to be very strong. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have watched anyway if it had been in Chelsea or something, you know. But I mean, you know, I just think it's appalling, and the support and the money. With that money, what we could have done, we could have solved the NHS problem.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
personally, I mean, it's the company behind this very lovely stadium are also behind the whole story is about they are behind the prison which contains the Uyghur population.
Yes.
So their human rights record is appalling.
Yeah.
You know, it's an internment camp for Uyghurs that they have built, and now they're getting money from Qatar to go build their stadiums. And yeah, I agree with David Mellor about watching. I don't particularly want to watch any of it because I think that it is an appalling state of affairs that they've been given.
What if England does well? you know.
Would you watch if Southampton were playing?
Don't forget
Sorry,
Wales.
sorry,
Wales are also,
sorry, yeah.
Wales are in their first World Cup since 1958.
Welsh husband,
it-
need to be careful.
Claire, I want to ask you this question. Would you be watching if Southampton were partaking?
I don't think Southampton would be partaking. They wouldn't lower themselves to those kind of standards. But they did win last night, so I'm grateful for small mercies in this.
Far more important South Coast derby.
Absolutely.
To the World Cup.
We beat Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Come on, the same.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, right, Claire, let's talk about Meghan and her warm feelings for her Madge.
Yeah, I'm not sure I believe her warm feelings all that much. This is her reshot pieces to say how much she thought the Queen was admirable and worked hard. It all feels a little false, if I'm honest. These were not the words that she put out there to begin with. And it seems to be rewriting
the Queen, though.
She hasn't, but this
She's very
feels...
careful not to attack the Queen.
It does feel as if she's rewriting history. Even if she hasn't attacked the Queen personally, her actions have hurt the royal family, and I don't think she'll be forgiven for that. So her and Harry, I think, need to maybe have some time to reflect quietly, not putting out a Netflix production and not putting out a book in time for Christmas. It all just feels a little bit false, and to see happy pictures of her smiling and clapping and being sort of generally supportive now feels a little too late.
Yeah, Biggins?
Yeah. Biggins, do you forgive her?
No, I don't, I'm afraid. I mean, I think that there's a real problem coming up. And, you know, Harry, I've always liked. I think he's lost his way. I think he doesn't quite know what's going on, poor boy. He's been taken under by this woman who is almost a monster in a way. And, you know, they're going to... this book, which he's been paid $35 million for, he thinks they're going to say, yes, no, we'll cut all those businesses, all those stories you've told us, those stories which are going to hurt the royal family.
The juicy stories.
Yeah,
The TV execs know that's what's going to get the viewers in.
Of course, but they're not going to cut that. They're not going to say, no, of course, Harry, we'll cut all those things and we'll just put the nice stories in. You know, he's in a terrible situation. And I think it's awful because I think the Queen, who I think loved him and adored him, and I think it was reciprocal. I think they both loved each other, but I mean, I think he's going to be in a terrible trouble if this book does come out. I mean, I think it's going to be a disaster.
Well, yeah, we were hearing from Katie Nicholl this week that King Charles may withhold titles for Lilibet and Archie if they step out of line, and could go so far as taking away theirs. All remains to be seen. Thank you both, Claire and Biggins. We'll see you again in the
Pleasure again.